Okay people, welcome back to another Fwoosh review. Tonight, I'm taking a look at the Star Wars Black Series Kanan Jarrus and Ahsoka Tano. Now when these were first announced, I was like, oh, cartoon characters, what's going on here? I wasn't that excited because I hadn't watched Rebels. I hadn't watched Clone Wars, in fact. I actually got these figures first and then figured, what the hell, I might as well. But I've only made it halfway through Season 2, and I got too excited. I have to open these now because the characters here are fantastic. I got impatient, what can I say? Now the packaging, this is the standard packaging ever since The Force Awakens came out with the black and the red, and the nice pictures of the characters. Kanan is 19, Ahsoka is 20. The back's the usual bio, the legalese, the same picture as from the front. Now, looking at it, it makes Kanan look huge. That or Ahsoka's small, because even the lightsaber hilts and the blades, Kanan's is so much bigger. But also, just looking at them in the package, they don't look cartoony. Hasbro has kind of taken the aesthetic of the Black Series from the characters we know from the movies and kind of integrated that into the cartoon characters here. Yes, it's unmistakably Kanan and Ahsoka, but it looks like they will fit in with the rest of the shelf perfectly. But I'm going to get these out of the box and check out what's going on here. And there we go, all out of the package. And I dig these figures. Yes, we're used to the Black Series having dedicated sculpts for each character. There's not a lot of reuse. But when it comes to this, kind of a more realistic take on a cartoon property, there's something kind of cool about it. Taking a look at Ahsoka first, the details are all there. But the weird thing about it, being that it is based on a cartoon character, there are a lot of details that they added to be more realistic. The cartoon feel is kind of smooth, you know, it's not as detailed as real world stuff. You get to the action figure and it has these textures to the, like the skirt piece or the sleeves, a little bit of added paint work here and there. Speaking of the paint, it's pretty sharp all over the place, except when you get to the back of the head. It's kind of fuzzy on the blue lines. Of course, the head is going to be hindered in the articulation department because of just the character design itself. She has these head tails and these kind of horn things. You don't get a lot of head movement. You can get side to side, and that kind of limits her in her lightsaber dueling poses. She can't look up, she can't look down. And on top of that, she's got kind of just a bored look on her face. Don't get me wrong, it looks nice. The paint's all there. Now, it wasn't until I got the figure open that I actually realized these are soft goods. Of course, it's noticeable. It's apparent through the package, but just me quick glancing it, I didn't realize it. And the thing about this, the use of soft goods is supposed to free up articulation. You can put more articulation under it, allows for more movement. But here, the actual plastic skirt piece is soft, gets out of the way easily. It's the soft goods that kind of holds the hips back. It acts like it's more of a hindrance than a help. And then last thing in the sculpt department, this yellow and red dot here is sculpted off center. It almost looks like her torso is supposed to be here, which puts her kind of kicking to the side, which kind of gives her, you know, kind of that female pose to the figure overall. It throws me off because her neckline is straight up and down, but it doesn't go straight to there. Now for articulation, she does have a head ball at the top, but not a lot of range of movement. I already went over that. Hinge and swivel at the shoulder. It gets up to about right there before the sculpt of her sleeve starts hitting. Then it rotates around. Hinge and swivel at the elbow. Gets up to 90. Not bad. And then it swivels. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. Got a hinge, which is up and down on the right, side to side on the left, and then it swivels around. She's got kind of a ball joint in the torso. Gets around really well. Forward, this being a breastplate, it kind of knocks into her torso, so she can't get forward a lot, but it's not terrible. Hinge and swivel at the hips. Like I said, the soft goods kind of hinders that. Forward. And then there's a swivel at the thigh. Double knees. Hinge at the ankle, goes back, goes forward, and then there's a forward-facing peg for a rocker. Now she has pretty good articulation, standard Black Series, a lot of movement, but because of the thinness of her limbs and how small her feet are, she tends to fall over. Of course, right now this is going to prove me a liar by just standing up first try. She does come with two accessories, two lightsabers. One's kind of the Dooku bent style hilt. The other is just a straight cylinder lightsaber. They both have white blades. The straight cylinder has a shorter blade than the bent hilt. Both blades are removable, but These hilts are some of the softest I've seen. I think it was, I just reviewed Tatooine Luke. His lightsaber hilt was just rubbery. And this kind of the same thing here. But the blades come out. They can hang from her belt. Both sides, she has hooks. It's kind of hard to get into her hands. The grip is tight. But once you get them in, because Ahsoka holds them backwards like this most of the time, they do look good. And with this up and down hinge on the right hand, you can get her holding it back like this. There's just something about dual welding lightsabers that's just freaking awesome. Here she is with the standard Black Series original trilogy Stormtrooper, and the size is good here. She's short, she's female, she's teenage. Is she late teenager? I don't actually know how much time has passed between Clone Wars and the Rebels, so I don't know how old she is, but I'm figuring she's late teens, early 20s, maybe. I'm good with this, her size compared to a normal standard male. And I figure Han Solo is on the tall side when it comes to Star Wars characters. So again, this works. In real world scale, she would actually be taller than Leia. As you can see here, the aesthetics between the two figures, they match. Now moving on to Kanan, the sculpt, you can see that there's a lot of detail going on here. The pants has its crosshatch pattern, the same with the undershirt. He's got his armored right arm, the pads on his boots, and even the overshirt. Yes, it's smooth, but it has some nice wrinkles to it and stuff. Moving up to the head, this looks like Kanan from the cartoon, but in the real world. Like I said in my review of the Dollar General Kanan, I still don't know what this symbol is. At that time, I hadn't watched Rebels. Now I've seen most of Rebels, and I still don't know what that means. Getting down to the articulation, he has a ball and hinge in his head. He doesn't get a lot of side to side, but he gets swivel, and then he gets up, and it gets down. A hinge and swivel at the shoulders. To be expected, the armor side, it doesn't get up as much as the other side does. The shoulder pad, just too big. But it looks damn cool, so trade-off. I'm good with that. Hinge and swivel at the elbows. Gets up to almost 90. And then it swivels. Hinge and swivel at the wrist. Both wrists are side to side, which kind of sucks, being that he has a lightsaber. Ball in the torso. You don't get a lot of side to side here. Or forward and back. You do get a twist, though. Not a lot of dynamic posing here. Hinge and swivel at the hip. The holster strap here does get in the way a little bit. It can get out, but it looks funky. Forward and back. There's a swivel at the thigh. But again, the holster is on the strap, on the belt, and then attached down here, too. So it kind of gets in the way. Double knees. Gets back about that far. Hinge at the ankle. Gets back really far. Gets forward. Not bad that way either. Then a forward-facing pin for rocker. For accessories, he does come with his pistol. After the Dollar General Kanan review, people pointed out that the pistol does kind of look like the pistol that Luke uses on Jabba's sail barge. And that's true. And what happened to that gun, I ended up giving it to the Black Series Jedi Luke. It actually looks pretty cool. The Black Series one, it has a little bit of sharper detail, and it has kind of a dry brush of silver over it. Not bad. Looks good. On top of that, it is a working holster. It goes down in there. It does lock in there, or it wants to lock in there with that piece on the barrel. It goes through, and then it doesn't want to come out. So you don't have to be really worried about losing the gun. Now in the package, I commented about how big his lightsaber is, and it is pretty big. If you compare it to Ahsoka's lightsabers, you can see just the size difference. This thing's huge. And it wasn't until I got it out of the package that I figured out why. Yes, it's a nice sculpt. For the most part, it looks like a cartoon. The blade is removable. But to go one further, in the cartoon, when we first meet Kanan, he doesn't want anybody to know he's a Jedi. They're being hunted down. They're being killed off. He does still carry his lightsaber, but it's concealed. He has his lightsaber broken down on his belt. And it wasn't until I got to figure out the package that I realized he has a slot right there and a slot right here. And that's where he carries his lightsaber, comes apart just like that. So the emitter, the shape right here, goes onto his belt like this. And then the cylinder goes on his belt like this. So that is a neat feature. I like that. The only thing that throws me off, he's got the belt loop on the end. There's no hook anywhere. The way he carries his lightsaber most of the time on his belt is like this. So I may end up cutting that loop off. There's no need for it. Putting the lightsaber back together, it's not a round peg. It's got a flat side on it, so you've got to kind of rotate around until it fits in there. And here he is with the Black Series Stormtrooper. Now, like I said earlier, Kanan comes off as kind of tall. His head's a little big. I don't know what the deal is with the proportions here, but I can justify that as just, Kanan's a big guy. I'll just call him a big guy. If I'm taking a cartoon character and putting it onto the shelf with a bunch of movie characters, I can just tell myself, yeah, he's big. I'm good with this. And again, here's Han. I think of him as one of the taller characters. Kanan's even taller than him. The head is bigger. But again, I'm just going to look at it as Kanan's a butch dude. He's manly man. So at the end of the day, I really dig these figures. Yeah, Kanan's a little big. Ahsoka, her neck doesn't have a lot of movement to it. But these figures inspire me to go back and watch Rebels. Gives me a greater appreciation for these figures overall. If I just opened them without watching the cartoon, I would have thought, yeah, these are okay. They're cool action figures, but where am I going to put them? But now, I can't wait for Sabine. She looks awesome. But now I'm thinking, I need the rest of the crew. I need a Rebels shelf. Yeah, like I said, I'm good with mixing these with the movie characters. But if they would give me more Rebels characters, they would have a shelf of their own. I need Hera. I need Zeb. I need Ezra. I definitely need a Chopper. I'll even take some of the bad guys. Agent Callus. But at the same time, I'm about to spend a whole lot more time going back and watching the Clone Wars. This addiction is getting to be time consuming. Not to even mention wallet draining. But you know what? There's worse things out there. Could be crack. Could be whores. There's gambling. Could be any number of other things. I choose plastic. What you gonna do? As long as Star Wars is pumping out, I'm probably going to be buying them. I won't be happy with every one of them, but that's the name of the game. You're not going to like everything that comes out, and that's cool. Don't buy it. I buy it. I got to know. I'm a tactile kind of guy. I've got to have my hands on it before I can decide, hey, I hate this. I may buy everything, but later on, when I have more time, that's just fodder for the customs, baby. So if you like the review, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the Fwoosh. And as you can see right here, it looks okay. I got it into a pose that's semi-decent. Well, it's not even the pose. How the tunic is laying right here, it looks okay. I'm kind of good with this. Yes, it's a little flat. The details, it just comes down to fabric at this scale just doesn't lay like it would on a full-size person. Of course, it comes down to the material used here, too. It is a light fabric. It's kind of just... I'm not really a fabric guy, but it doesn't hold wrinkles well. This is my Glassman head Obi-Wan, and this is a robe from Rickor409 on eBay. And you can see that the wrinkles hold after wetting it down.